Hello, hi everyone. I see you got 5 viewers now. Today webinar we will do on the feeding management for the Vannamei. Can you guys hear my voice? Is it clear or not? You can respond on the chat section. I hope everyone can hear my voice clearly. Hi Kuma, Aquatube and this Jumat Hassan. Where is everyone coming from? Now in Malaysia, we are at 8 p.m. Just finished my dinner. Today, webinar will be conducted by me, Shikin. Usually, if I going to give the webinar, I will live with Mr. Yik. But today it's me. Hi, aloe vera, virus from Malaysia. We are going to start the webinar in another 5 minutes. Anyone here familiar with Vannamei? You guys already start the Vannamei culture or still a beginner? Or anyone a student here? From aloe vera, still learning. I hope you can get some information from this webinar. From Jumat Hassan, I think it's a good idea to be a better educated consumer because now, even for me, if I didn't study or if I didn't culture this Vannamei, I don't even know how to culture, what's the health, how to compare the health status of this Vannamei. Today we are going to discuss mainly on the biofloc system. But in this webinar, I will not differentiate between the biofloc system or the RAS system. It's general for the Vannamei feeding. We will start shortly in 2 minutes. We have 15 viewers at the moment. So maybe the viewers can share the YouTube thing on your Facebook or your social media so that we can gather more crowd in this webinar. Hi William, good morning from USA. Oh, we have viewer from Sabah. Hey, Innovis. Okay, my clock is already 8:30. So we will start the webinar on this feeding management for the Vannamei. Thank you everyone for watching this live session. If you have any question regarding the slide or if you have any issue at your farm regarding feed to Vannamei, you can write your question at the chat section. Many farmers or even the senior farmer, sometimes they have the problem on feed management. Even for us at the RAS Aquaculture, when we first start the shrimp farm, we have the same issue. So in this webinar, we will highlight and share with you some information for the feed management for Vannamei. Currently, we have done our indoor farm for more than a year now, starting with a small pilot system in the 4,000 liter culture tank, and now we have expanded to a shop lot with 3 20 meter cubic tanks, and at the moment we have around 2 more weeks before harvesting 2 of our grow out tank. There are a few key components to a success of feed performance. Successful feed performance usually indicated by the low FCR. Good FCR is between 1 to 1.3, which means you need 1 kilo to 1.3 kilo of feed only to grow the shrimp to 1 kilogram of weight. The feed formulation, feed manufacturer, feed transport and storage, feed regime and farming system are the components. Of this, the commercial shrimp feed manufacturer have direct control over the first two factors, the feed formulation and the feed manufacturer, while the farmers and their staff have direct control over the last three. Therefore, that the eventual nutritional performance and economic success or any failure of a shrimp feed is dependent upon a close collaboration and partnership between the feed producer or the manufacturer and the farmer and his staff. For traditional shrimp farming like the open pond system, the shrimp feed and feeding only already represent 40 to 60% of the operational cost. At the FCR typically range between 1.4 to 1.8. For other people that is using other farming system, our experience with them might be different. At the moment, we are using super intensive indoor farming with biofloc system. For our farm, the lowest FCR we can achieve is 1.1, which is from our last nursery culture. This nursery culture is quite fast than the usual, which is only take 2 weeks to achieve 0.1 gram to 1 gram of PL size. Moving on, the basic feed management is on the feed handling and process. This is important to avoid nutrient losses and disruption. The losses usually happen due to the inadequate shelter and protection of the feed, and then microbial or pest infestation. So it is recommended to store the feed under cool, well-ventilated condition and avoid direct exposure to sun, rain, heat and humidity. Because the shrimp is very sensitive to disease outbreak, we have to make sure that there is no contamination is coming from the feed itself. Let's say if you plan to make the feed yourself. We have clients from Cambodia who say the shrimp feed price is very expensive and hard to get there. So they decided to make the feed themselves. In this case, you also need to take note on the raw materials and make sure it is not contaminated. If we make the feed ourselves, the expiring date might be in 3 months compared to the shrimp pellet. Usually it is within 6 months. Commercial feed pellet shelf life should be not more than 2 to 3 months under 20 to 30 degrees Celsius storage condition and not more than 4 to 6 months under 10 to 20 degrees Celsius storage condition. Whenever possible, formulated feed should be stored in a dedicated roofed storage facility, and the feed used in the farm is in a first in, first out basis. Because the shrimp aquaculture activity is not only happen in one region that have the same weather pattern, there is a feeding rate difference suggested based on this table. This table is only applicable for 35% crude protein and 8% crude lipid feed. This percentage number you can find at the shrimp feed packing. All the nutrient percentage and value you can easily find at the packaging. This is the example of Blanca and Star feed packaging. As you can see from this table, compound feed intake will decrease with increasing body size and decrease metabolic rate over the culture cycle. This feeding rate based on body weight also can be found at the packaging bag of the feed. Feed intake and growth increase with increasing water temperature. For the Vannamei, the optimum water temperature is typically between 29 degrees Celsius to 31 degrees Celsius. Next, the feed management concept. There are few concepts that need to be highlighted. Nutrient density of the feed, properly apply the feed, and frequent water exchange. For the nutrient density, because the feed manufacturer will produce the feed in different protein content, farmer need to take note what is the suitable protein content suitable for the shrimp. When selecting a feed and applying it to a production system, you must understand that nutrient requirements are actually daily intake. Hence, the nutrient density of the feed such as the protein and the energy content, will affect how much you should feed as well as the feed conversion. The feed input must be adjusted for the nutrient density of the feed. So if we have higher concentration of a nutrient in the feed, we would offer less feed. As the example, a well-balanced diet containing 40% protein and feed at 75% of the ration will deliver the same protein as a diet containing 30% protein and offered at a 100% ratio. If the lower protein diet meets the nutritional requirement of the animal under a given set of conditions, increasing protein intake by increasing the daily ratio does not lead to a better growth. However, this overfeeding will in turn increase the feed conversion ratio, and it also will increase the pollution or the waste loading inside the system. Similarly, if someone chooses to increase the level of protein in the diet and feed the same quantity of feed, growth would not improve and feed conversion would stay the same. However, the efficiency of using the protein decrease and nitrogen waste will increase. Of course, overfeeding any diet also reduces the economic return from the feed. From what we experience here, the 40% protein content is usually for tiger shrimp or the monodon species, which is the feeding behavior is carnivore, so they need more protein. For the Vannamei, typical range is between 36 to 38% of protein content. Once a quality feed is processed, stabilized and packaged, it of a little value is not properly applied. Proper application of feed is not an easy task, and it goes hand in hand with proper stocking procedure, regular sampling for growth and health, as well as the maintenance of suitable water quality parameters. Improving the economic return from the feed should be one of the primary goals of the farm manager, although it is far from an easy task. If you plan to have a bigger farm or you are a beginner, few elements need your attention. The feeding table, feeding time, or you choose manually hand feed, and the use of auto feeder. Feeding table usually prepare once a week, where the renewal is every after sampling process. The sampling process will involve the measurement take for the average body weight for the shrimp. However, the estimation for the total feed that you are going to use for your culture cycle can be estimated based on the estimate FCR, growth rate per week, mortality per week, and the feeding rate. This would be easier if you have basic skills in Excel formulation. For biofloc culture, we use a CN ratio calculator to estimate the feeding table, where in our case, we need to estimate the amount of feed and the amount of molasses every day for a week. For our online course participant, you can find this CN ratio calculator on the member forum discussion. Usually after every sampling, we will compute the cumulative number of dead shrimp, current average body weight, and feeding rate on the Excel file. The feeding rate for the shrimp, you can refer to this table over here. For example, if the shrimp weight is 2 grams per individual, the feed consumption for a day is just 0.143 grams per day, so making the feeding rate as 7% from the total body weight. You can also design yourself on how you want to formulate your Excel document, but the number of pellet feed you should give can be calculated based on this formula over here. It's the initial stocking minus the mortality or the number of dead shrimp, you times with the average body weight and with the feeding rate from the table. This is the example of the feeding sheet. It is important to have a feeding sheet so that your farm operator will easily refer to this sheet during the feeding hours. Next is the frequent water change. We often get this question from the participant or client. How much we should change the water? How frequent should we change the water, or when should we change the water? There is one participant before he have a problem in the fish tank, and what he do, he change all of the tank water, mean 100% of the water volume, and the problem getting worse. So what happened? Actually, the maximum water change is only to 30% of the water volume. This is not only applicable for biofloc, but also for clear water rust system. Quite often, water exchange is used to control the water quality by pushing out primary production to stabilize the DO level, the dissolved oxygen level. This may be the best choice in some cases, but from a cost standpoint, aeration is more cost effective. Not only the aeration more cost effective, but reducing water exchange improve the quantity of natural food available to the shrimp. Natural food are not only very nutritious, but they are essentially free food. Hence, reducing the feed input and water exchange allow for a better use of natural productivity and reduce the feed cost. Besides, you only change the water if the water quality already uncontrolled after the mitigation action, or when the solid is too high, or when you see the shrimp does not eat. Sometimes people get confused when their water quality is all good, but the shrimp still not eating and maybe will die. This would be due to many factors happen inside the water chemistry. Water change is not the first action to take when you have problem with the tank, but it is the best method if you already cannot solve the problem. Another important key is on how to check for the shrimp feeding behavior. This is to be done daily, especially every time before feeding, so that you have early warning signal before something bad happen, which is the mass mortality of the shrimp. First, you need to check for any leftover feed from the previous feeding. Usually, the shrimp feed will sink down to the tank bottom, so the place you need to scoop or check is the tank bottom or the place with less aeration and circulation. If there is leftover, you should cut the feeding to 20 to 30% of the daily total feeding and observe again for the next feeding time. While if there is no leftover, it also does not mean your shrimp get enough feed. That's why you also need to check on the gut fullness. Gut fullness can indicate whether the feed is enough or not. And if it's empty, if the gut is empty for most of the time, do check your water quality, or it might be any disease suspected. In the market, you can find many people or company introduce their supplement or feed product when you started your shrimp farm. The feed supplement usually to help increase the feeding efficiency, reduce your FCR, increase growth, and increase the immune response of the shrimp. There are some feed supplements that we also use in our farm. First, the probiotic. We have introduced this probiotic, the Vannamei probiotic, in our previous webinar and also on our latest YouTube series on probiotic. This probiotic we use as our biofloc organism promoter and as treatment mechanism. This Vannamei probiotic is the Bacillus subtilis bacteria that is proved can help to improve the shrimp immune response and treat the water against pathogen. We introduce this probiotic as most people who want to start their biofloc culture, they take longer time to create the biofloc. So as this bacteria can help to fasten the biofloc growth in within 1 to 2 days before stocking, it can save the operation cost, especially on the electricity. This is some microscope footage of the live bacteria under the microscope. This Vannamei probiotic dosage is only 2 ml per 1000 liter of water or 2 ml per 1 meter cubic of water. Every one time dosage to start the biofloc, and we apply every 2 days for the treatment purpose. For those in Malaysia, you can get the product on our Shopee account. So you just have to search on this biofloc starter 1 liter for shrimp and fish aquaculture. For now, we are short of stock, and probably starting next week we will increase our stock again. Okay, the next supplement that we are using in our farm for the shrimp is the enzyme. The enzyme is used to improve the digestibility of the feed. Same like human, the shrimp also lack in certain enzyme to digest the nutrient fraction inside the feed. These are the list of the nutrient fraction that can be digested by the enzyme. As the use of enzyme in shrimp culture industry is very new, I would like to highlight why we should include enzyme in the shrimp feed. As the shrimp are omnivore, the shrimp feed usually contain both animal and plant-based ingredients. This list of ingredients you can also find at the packaging on how many percent of the ingredient or what are the ingredients inside the feed. So by including the enzyme in the shrimp feed, they will help to digest both animal and plant-based ingredients. So let's look at the illustration over here. We will have an enzyme in the yellow color, and we have a nutrient component that cannot be digested by the shrimp, which is in this green color. So when the enzyme bind to the nutrient in this feed, it will convert the nutrient component that cannot be digested into another form of product that is edible to the shrimp. So the shrimp will get more nutrient when they feed on the feed pellet. Benefit of the enzyme is to enhance the nutrient uptake by the shrimp, reduce the cost spent on feed, expand the choice of the shrimp feed, and reduce the environmental pollution. For number 1 and 2 point, it will benefit of course the farmer, and point number 3 will benefit the feed manufacturer or producer to include reusable element or recycle end product from any industry. And the 4th point will benefit the health of local people living nearby the shrimp farm area. This is because usually when the nutrient or component cannot be digested or absorbed by the shrimp, the water will just accumulate, the waste will just accumulate inside the environment and might be the future emerging issue to the environment. How to apply the enzyme in the shrimp feed? In the shrimp feed, the application rate is at 0.4 to 0.8 gram per 1 kilogram of feed, but it need a binder such as the molasses, the squid oil or water, just the water, to make sure that the enzyme bind to the feed. So to get efficient result, do mix the enzyme and the feed before feeding time, so that the nutrient breakdown will be used by the shrimp immediately. As for now, we are still collecting the data from the enzyme usage, whether is it worth the cost to be used. So for now, we haven't produced the product to be market on our Shopee shop. Okay, I think that's all for this webinar content. I will just generally explain on our course. We have two courses on the biofloc shrimp farming and also the mud crab. But in this webinar, I will just go through on the biofloc shrimp farming. The course that we conduct is you can learn on the knowledge and understanding of the theory of the biofloc, biology of the Vannamei, and some of the equipment that we need to apply in the biofloc system. And then we also teach on the business skill, the practical skills on the water quality monitoring and how to prepare the seawater, the artificial seawater, how to make the biofloc, and how to feed on the shrimp. And then we also have some topic on the networking skills to gain access to the supplier network for the equipment and the consumable item. So for Malaysian, you can join us in Keluang Johor, Malaysia for RM1,599 per person. But for now, because we have the total lockdown for 2 weeks until 14th of June, we also have to reschedule back our June class to July. I think it's on the 3rd to 4th of July. So if any of the viewer here want to join the physical course in Keluang, you can DM us on Facebook or WhatsApp us and we can send the details to you. We also have the online course for those who cannot travel to Malaysia, or we also have a lot of Malaysia participants who cannot travel to Keluang and they attend the online course first for only $199. And then if you want to attend the physical course in the future or after this lockdown, you can have a full rebate, meaning you need to pay the remaining course fee from the RM1,599. And then this one is special for our online course participant. We have a lifetime access to forum for the biofloc Q&A discussion. This is also the same for the mud crab course, online mud crab course. So in this forum, we will open for the online participant. You can look at the forum and scroll down and see if anyone have the same problem with you. You can ask question in the forum and you can see how they counter the problem and what are the suggestions from the other people. Okay, so if you have any further question or you want to know details of the course or the product, you can email us at the sales@rasaquaculture or you can WhatsApp the number here. And if you are interested to attend the course, the online course, you can go to our website www.rasaquaculture.com. Okay, so I think I will go through the question on the chat, on the YouTube chat over here. Hi Innovis, you can send us email if you want to know more on this biofloc culture with Vannamei, or probably you want to scroll down to our online course first. From John Aloe Vera, could you possibly elaborate more on the water change topic? On the water change topic, what I've mentioned in the slide just now, the maximum water change is 30%. So let's say your water volume, your total culture water volume is 10,000 litre of water. So if you have any water quality issue and you cannot solve, like I give example for this biofloc situation. Let's say if you have ammonia problem, the first thing we need to check is whether they have any leftover feed or we are overfeeding the shrimp. So if you are already solve the feeding problem and the ammonia still high, maybe you can start to change the water. So for 10,000 litre of water, the change volume is only 30%. So means you just change around 3,000 litre of the water. So if for us, we make our own salt water. So means if we move out, we change, so mean we pump out the 3,000 litre of water. We will top up again with the normal tap water, and then we will check the salinity with the refractometer to increase again the salinity to the desired level. For our farm, the salinity we are running is around 10 ppt to 15 ppt. Same question. From this Innovis, did we provide any consultation service for shrimp farming project? Yes, we do provide consultation service. Okay, from this SSP Tiger, besides CN ratio, how do you maintain ammonia and NO2 during the feeding? For our farm, because biofloc is maybe quite different for the beginner, for the ammonia, besides the CN ratio, we maintain with the solid. So, because the biofloc is the aggregate or the presence of the bacteria inside the water. So, if you don't have enough solid or enough floc inside your water, so the ammonia will not be decreased, will not be zero. For our farm now, we can see that on the first stage when we transfer the shrimp to the grow out, the first few weeks we will see that the ammonia will be the highest is 1 ppm, and then over time we will see that the ammonia will maintain at 0 ppm. So this one is based on the how long or how old is your flock age. From Jumat Hassan, can share what type of enzyme are available in the market? Any brand you can recommend? For now, the enzyme that we see that it is proven is the Altec enzyme brand. But for now, we are still collecting the data, and if we see that we can apply this enzyme and it's will cost benefit, will save the cost for our shrimp farm, we will share the brand and we will share with you on the supplier of this enzyme. from KMC cooking channel. Based on our experience, the PL17 that we purchased is just around 2 hours from our farm. So we will go to take the PL usually in the morning because it's not very hot. And then we will ask the hatchery to pack the shrimp in 1000 PL per bag. I try to scroll down the question. I afraid I miss. Okay, I hope I already answered all of the question, and some of the question I already replied on the chat section. So the question we will, if you have any further question, you can email us, and you can chat us on Facebook. For the next webinar session will be on the 16th of June on the aeration requirement for the biofloc and rust. So we will share with you on the registration form, and we hope to see everyone again on the next webinar session. Thank you.